Happy Wednesday to you out there. Hope you're having a great day. Today I want to focus on muzzles. Muzzles. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, I hate muzzles, and we have to use them though. And that's the hard part. It's really difficult because we must use muzzles. I remember for many years at our vet hospital, probably about 12 dogs, at least a dozen dogs per week would come into our hospital that we'd have to muzzle them to prevent them from biting someone. But just because you have to use it doesn't mean you have to love it. And I just really don't like muzzles. They have a lot of different applications. We're not going to get through all of those today. Today I just want to highlight some of the pros and cons about using a muzzle. And again, the biggest pro of all, you don't get holes put in you. You don't get shredded by a dog. Although I did find out the hard way in many applications that you can get jackhammered by a dog. And I think that was actually worse than being bitten. I'm telling you what, there's nothing worse than a Malinois or German Shepherd harpoon. Many times into you over and over and over again as they realize, okay, I can't bite you, so I'll just batter you to death. It's incredible. All right, but muzzles, what about muzzles? What is it that's really kind of difficult about them to really grasp and to also get comfortable with? I think it's comfort on the part of the animal. I want you to think about something. I'm going to handcuff you right now. So I just handcuffed you. And now I forced you to encounter a very scary situation, or to meet and encounter someone or something, an animal or human-like, that you're extremely fearful of. That if you weren't handcuffed, then you take a swing at it. You'd use those hands in your old fight or flight. You'd use these hands to get you out of that situation. You feel it's your only recourse at that moment. First of all, think, where are you from an emotional state at that moment? Where are you? Again, I've pointed out in the past, 3 basic emotional states: calm zone, arousal zone, panic, reactive. Tell you what, think about it yourself. Think about if you're going, oh my God, if I weren't handcuffed, I'd be able to fight for my life. But because I'm handcuffed, I can't fight for my life. Even if you weren't, you're here if you're thinking about swinging at someone. You're thinking that this is what you have to do to stay alive. When you put a dog in a muzzle, you sent them there almost immediately in the panic reactive zone because you just disarmed them. You just disarmed them. And that sends them right to the top. And then prior to that, why did you muzzle your dog? Was there some sort of predictive information in the past when your dog has encountered this provocative event or this particular stimulus? It reacted aggressively and tried to bite, tried to attack. Well, here we go. We're taking the dog into that event, into that place, encountering those people. It was here, already there. And now you disarm it? I don't know if there is a glass ceiling, but I've seen many dogs punch through this thing like no tomorrow. And here's the problem with that. If you ever go there, even as a human, your brain will develop what's called molecular memory. You'll never forget the event. You'll probably black out some of it at that point there. We've talked about that in previous videos, how procedural or implicit memory takes over explicit or declarative type memory. You run on autopilot, but it doesn't matter. You may not consciously remember the event, but your amygdala, your brain will, and if it used any tool at all while you were up here, battering ram, growling, anything at all, it will remember that's the tool that we use if we ever encounter this thing again. But the problem with muzzles, when these dogs came into our vet hospital, they were already here to begin with, like most dogs. They come in, they smell excrement, they smell anal sac releases, they hear pain, smell blood, feel the anxiety in their owner, feel the anxiety in some of the staff. Oh yeah, trust me, there was a few dogs that came to our vet hospital that when we looked on the schedule that morning, before they even arrived, we were anxious. who are already going, oh my gosh, really? Tell you what, you can hold the dog. Oh, no, I'm not holding the, hey, I'm the boss. I own the darn place. I'm not holding the dog. Well, you're supposed to lead from the front. Okay, well, today I'm leading from the back. It just, yes, we were anxious. The client was anxious. And by golly, the dog walked in the door super anxious. And then we put a muzzle on it. Wow. Okay, so that's one of my issues that I have is that you just disarmed this animal. Nature gave dogs teeth for a reason. Reason number one, to acquire life-sustaining energy, and number two, to defend yourself so you can stay alive, to acquire more life-sustaining energy, to defend your cubs, protect your offspring. It is a tool, and you just took it away. And I get why we do. I understand that. But you need to understand what happens to your dog when you do that. So all that being said, how do we get through this? How do we deal with this? Okay, so next point. Animals learn what they need to know. I've said that 100 times. I'm going to say it probably 300 more times before this 365 days over. Dogs learn what they need to learn. And you need to turn off that cell phone. Okay. It's my wife, it's Kira. Kira's calling you during the Facebook Live. All right. Love you, Kira. Love you, sweetheart. All righty then. Back to what I was talking about. Animals learn what they need to know. And what they need to know more than anything is what is it going to take for me to survive in a very competitive and hostile world. Number uno. Survival value. If it has survival value, you will learn it much faster and retain it for much longer than you will all those other things. Think about yourself. Remember when you're back in school? I still remember it. And I remember thinking, you know, I want to study animals. I want to train dogs. I don't want to build the space shuttle. So why are you making me study space engineering? I could give a hoot if the diagonals of a rectangle are always congruent. I don't even know if that was correct. I didn't care about that. How many subjects were you forced to take that you didn't care anything about? But the ones that interest you, and definitely the ones that pertain to your survival as a kid growing up in Alaska, I learned what kept me safe, what kept me fed, what kept me warm, what kept me knowing where I was. Those I learned them like that, and I've retained them to this day. Dogs are no different. Learn what you need to know to survive. Any behavior that has survival value and enhances it will be learned quickly. Well, guess what a muzzle does? It does not give you survival value. It takes away from instead of adding to. And another problem. They don't want to learn about the muzzle. They're really apprehensive about it. And all of you who have ever put a muzzle on your dog the first time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly. We'll shoot a video of that here, maybe even later today, and post it down on the thread, or we'll get it here in the next couple of days of a few dogs. We're going to put muzzles on and watch how they act. For a second there or two, forget about the bad guy. Forget the fact I'm in a vet hospital. Just get this thing off my face now. And they'll commit everything they have to that. And if they fail, and only then will they start to now turn their attention to something else. Okay, so how do we get our dogs used to muzzles? Because some of us have to put our dogs in muzzles to take them to the veterinarian. We have to put them in a muzzle to get a nail trim even. There's many reasons to have your dog in a muzzle. I am going to tell you, try to avoid the things, the events, or the stimulus in which you feel you ever need to use a muzzle. Do that. And we'll talk later on in other videos about how we can get that done, especially if you take your dog to a veterinary hospital. I got a Facebook Live coming up that's going to talk just about that. How do we get our dogs over trips to the vet? Okay, but on to this. Number one thing, we've got to get a muzzle on your dog. Well, muzzles come in a lot of different varieties. They come in different shapes, different sizes, different material. Vesper here is wearing a basket muzzle here. And as you can see, she's even kind of drooling just a little bit. And that's a little bit of anxiety, although Vesper's used to wearing a muzzle. Again, this is a mobilized stress response indicator right here, all this drool on the floor. The dislike I have with these is I've been bitten through those. As you can see, you give a desperate dog that has very long canines and they'll come right through here, right through the basket. So the old adage, 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. I don't think that's 100% effective. One thing that this particular muzzle has that I think that all muzzles should have, and that's that cross strap right here. Evan, can you zoom in on that? This cross strap right here. The second thing other than just the material that's made out of is you had to have enough material to keep it on the dog. Again, if you've ever tried to put a muzzle on your dog, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This cross strap really helps to keep the muzzle center line on the dog's muzzle, on its nose, and also helps prevent the dog from pulling it off. As you can see over here on my two stuffed dogs, Red Zone, and my other little dog here, this is an old German type leather muzzle. It just covers, it's made mostly of leather here, very thick, very hard casing in the front. But again, just one strap that goes underneath the ears here. And then on this dog over here, we had the typical muzzle that you find in a lot of grooming shops. The thing, of course, the obvious problem with this is here's a hole right here. And dogs can pinch. They may not get the full bite, that crushing bite that causes contusion type wounds, but they can still nip you with these muzzles. My fault is, again, with all of these, is that when you put them on your dog, regardless of which muzzle you select, listen to this if you didn't listen to anything else in this video. The fit is everything. It won't matter what kind of muzzle you have on your dog, because if you don't fit it properly, there won't be a muzzle on your dog in about half a second. I'm telling you that. You must put this thing on so tight, it is uncomfortable. Yeah, when you go to put your fingers between these straps, that should take a Herculean effort to do so. It needs to be really tight. This isn't about your comfort here, dog, because you're not comfortable already. This is about safety. Safety. We're going to get through this thing in a real hurry here. We're not going to spend all day doing this. Put it on, put it nice and snug. You let a dog pop a muzzle off one time, what do you think they learn? Oh, these things come off. They come off. And so I try it next time, it doesn't come off immediately. Well, I pitch an ever-loving fit, and I start raking my claws in there and start gouging my own eyes. We actually had that happen to a dog at our vet hospital. Reached right in, big long nails. It was there for a nail trim, and trying to pull this muzzle off, it raked its own retina with this nail. They can become injured trying to get these things off. Put it on snug. Back in the military working dog days in my career, back in when I was a police canine officer and trained a lot of dogs for police canine work, when we would do muzzle work with the animal, we would actually lift the dog by the muzzle just a little bit. Just lift it straight up just a little bit. Try and see if it would come off. Always, yeah, because when you got bare skin and you've got some big German Shepherd or big Rottweiler, big Doberman, big Malinois, you name it, and you're the guy that's supposed to act as the bad guy, you want to make sure that muzzle is not coming off. And the same thing goes at our vet hospital. I'm holding the dog still. I've got it right here while my veterinarians and my vet techs are back there in the back giving shots, checking knees, checking anything. The last thing I want to have come off is this muzzle right here, right now. They must be snug. Very, very snug. And then keep this in mind. The time to put a muzzle on your dog is not when it's already here. Not in the vet parking lot. Not at the groomer parking lot. The time to put a muzzle on your dog the very first time is at your home or the most comfortable place in the world for your dog. Yeah, I put one on Captain. Where did I put one on Captain the very first time? Down at the park where you've seen on previous videos. I got his ball right there. I'm putting this muzzle on. I threw the ball. He said, the heck with the ball. I want this muzzle off. But over a period of time, he got used to the muzzle. And that's what they do, as like with Vesper here. They get used to the muzzle. All of us, humans and animals alike, will habituate to a stereotypic signal. If this thing just keeps coming, I'm wearing it, I hate it, but I'm wearing it, I hate it, but I'm wearing it, I hate it. Eventually, all right, I'm wearing it. Don't like it, but I can tolerate it. You need to get to that step before you ever even go to this step. Yeah, don't double up on your dog's agony. Yeah, we already got the muzzle, so what? We're a muzzle, big deal. You like my muzzle? Does it look good? Does it look good on me? Get your dog to that point, and that means you put it on for a little bit, and you do try to play with your dog. If you have one like this, try to put a treat right through there. Try to give a little treat right there, and give the good stuff. Do this over. Take it off when the dog is not fighting, when the dog finally says, Uncle, I don't care. They just stand there and just go, okay, it's not coming off. I'm all right. Boom, take it off. Wow, that worked. Yeah, guess what works? You being still, you cooperating, it's how that thing comes off. You pitching an ever-loving fit, rolling around on my floor, running into my walls, it doesn't come off. Learn that through your own self-discovery. And when that thing does come off, man, I'm telling you what, there goes that ball. Here comes that darn treat. Oh yeah, baby. Over and over and over again. You've got to make an effort to do this. When we're getting dogs used to muzzles, my gosh, they go on them at least 6-7 times per day. And sometimes they'll wear them for hours on end in a cool area. Because one of the dangers, and that brings me to that point of muzzles, is a dog can overheat very quickly in them. Again, panting's not so great right now. Even Vesper here, just a harder job trying to pant, trying to cool off. And these here, oh yeah, that's a microwave that you just strap to your dog's nose. Watch out for that, guys. Watch out for your dog overheating. So make sure the conditions, the climate is such that you're not going to have too much of a danger, too much of a worry about your dog's overheating. Okay, and then lastly, once you get your dog used to wearing a muzzle, you've got this great fit, you've gone through all this desensitization programs for it, you've kind of got the dog a little bit over it, it's okay with it. Well, now start backing off on the entertainment or the desensitizing, counter conditioning, whatever you want to call it. Back off on it. We have a tendency to go, okay, you're wearing a muzzle, it's all good, it's all good. Here's a treat, here's a treat, here's a treat, here's a treat. It's all good, look at me, look at it, it's all good. No, how about here? Once you wear it and heel. And down. And come. And stay. I got to go in here and take care of some business. Yeah, like this, like Vesper's doing. Get them used to it. Hey, you may not like it. She doesn't like it, but she's dealing with it. And get them to that point, because they'll never get to that point if you're constantly in their face, entertaining them or trying to distract them. It is what it is, dog. Hey, you got on a muzzle. Yeah, it stinks. Got it. Deal with it. Deal with it. All right? And then finally, something that's a little bit of a byproduct, I find a very positive byproduct. When dogs don't get to use their teeth, when they used to use their teeth, and now all of a sudden I can't use my teeth, and the outcome of that encounter or that event is the same as when I used my teeth, meaning they finally get done with my nails. They finally quit poking me and putting a light in my eye. And we get to leave the vet hospital. Those people finally went by me and it looks like they're gone. In other words, when the outcomes are the same, that things go away from you, they get out of your critical zone. Wow. Not biting works. Yeah, I didn't know that. Wouldn't have known that until I was forced to discover that. So we've seen lots of dogs. I remember so many of those dogs that used to come to my vet hospital. Initially, muzzle, muzzle, loose muzzle, no muzzle. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So again, that's probably the only thing I really like about them. I hate that we have to use them. We do have to use them. There's so many cons involved. You have to be so careful with them. But if you do use them, you obey this rule. Get them used to it first. Because remember, your dog's already here. Think about you. You ever want to punch somebody, where are you emotionally? I hope you're all upset. I do. Otherwise, I'm kind of scared of you. Yeah, your dog's no different, guys. get them over the muzzle, get through the event, let them learn I don't have to use my teeth, and then eventually, for most dogs, these events will never do that again. Yeah, the event may, but I'm not going to use my teeth. I'll resort to something else, which is far greater, because now I'm not going to stack anxiety on top of anxiety. All right, guys, that's it for today on muzzles. Done a lot of muzzle work talk today. So I'll go ahead and put a muzzle on electronically and have Evan turn off this Facebook Live. If you have any questions about muzzles in general, shoot them to me. If you got suggestions for Facebook Live, we've had some really good ones coming in lately, so I encourage you, send them in. Just because I don't get to them tomorrow doesn't mean I'm not going to get to them. I still have plenty of time. I'm creeping up on day 200 next week. So, man, we got time. Send them to me. In the meantime, if you think your dog needs to wear a muzzle, good fit, get it on them, get them over it. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll move on to some new stuff starting tomorrow.